Well, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday afternoon. I honestly still feel pretty dang bad. I've been fighting this sinus thing for a couple of weeks now. I know you guys have heard me in the background, snorting and clearing my throat and nose and stuff. And well, that kind of culminated and started getting pretty bad. And I think it's just a full blown sinus infection. I'm a little gritty, a little tired, a little wore out, but we're here. We're going to see what we can do today. So, the thought process is that today is going to get warm out today, and because it's going to get warm, I want to go ahead and do the paint on Williams, motor swap. We did the OSFO. It's been sitting for a few days. I pulled it out yesterday so that I could start looking around it and whatnot. It's not going to be a whole lot or too crazy involved. We're just going to give some of this stuff a minor wipe down. There's nothing. Well, let me get my little flashy light going. See the valves, the ports look pretty clear. This is still a port injection motor. It's not fancy enough to be one of those direct injections, thankfully. So, port injection, you don't really have any of the carbon buildup issues. You get a little bit of oil, but it's a tiny bit of oil. It's not a big deal. Oh, then at some point, I need to sharpen those 3 blades, put them back on the mower, and then I need to cut the rest of the yard, which that's not necessarily a priority. I cut the main half of the yard and the back end where it gets out of control really quickly, like 2 days ago. I think it's Monday when I did it. I don't really prioritize over here that much, mostly just because I have all these cars over here and I try to push it out as far as I can on cuts because it's just, I don't know, it's such a pain in the ass to ride around and try to move all these things and get all the trailers out of the way, and it's a lot of work. And with me having been fighting the sinus infection mess, I haven't felt even the remotely closest bit of good for, I don't know, probably the last 4 days or so. I don't know what I done did with my phone stand, though. I was pretty sure I brought all that out here. I guess not. Well, I tell you what. Is this bad guy on? No, it's dead. Okay, so we're just gonna do the decent thing. We're gonna plug it in and let it charge. 0%. Dead. I'm sure that's good for it. Wipes. Here's all the parts and everything. Got all that good stuff. I gotta take his throttle body off of his intake. The throttle body that's in the car needs to stay because that's the one that's adapted to the ECM at the moment. I could run an adaptation and it might work, but there could be a discrepancy between his car and that car that I'm not aware of. Like, there could be an underlying issue with that motor that I'm not privy to, I guess. Gosh dang it. I'm gonna try a little bit to use less profanity. I know that I can get a little excessive at times, especially if I get, kind of excited about something. I'll start dropping F-bombs and all this, that. Not really trying to stop curbing it for any particular reason other than I recognize that it's kind of a disgusting habit. Profanity is not necessarily the world's second language, so not really much of a reason for me to have to keep putting it out there on y'all. I'm gonna cut though, because I'm gonna go find my phone holder so that I can try and actually do some reasonable filming with this stuff. And hopefully I can manage all of this. Let's see, I think, no, I pulled all that out too. I bet you I took it all in the house. All right, I'll be back. Okay, well, it was not in the house. Also, sorry that I don't show anybody the inside of my house. I'm not terribly keen on sharing like my personal life. I don't mind telling you the things that I'm into, and I might even be willing to show like short little, like a picture or something of like my shelf, all my nerdy stuff. But like, I'm still a firm believer of privacy, and I feel like no matter what you upload anywhere, you run the risk of people taking the information you're posting and trying to use that against you in some way. Sometimes it's benign and the information they have just doesn't matter. It's like, oh, cool, look, you got a picture of me when I was in high school being dumb. Oh, wow, look, I was hanging upside down on a jungle gym. Whoa, Nelly. But I don't know. I'm kind of a private guy. You wouldn't think so making YouTube, but there's lots of YouTubers out there that actually balance their lives. Now, of course, I'm not so hardcore that I'm not willing to show you my face or any kind of stuff like that, because it's not that deep for me. I don't have that much to try to protect. I don't have that much to be all that worried about. It's not really a big deal. Damn, I just really, for the life of me, can't. I bet you it's all in the Jetta. I don't know why. I bet you I moved it to the Jetta and didn't think about it. But the thing is, if you try to take an image of me and search for it on Google, you're not really going to find anything. If you do find anything, you're gonna find a failure to appear that got dismissed. You're going to find that I used to be DCJS certified because I was a lockout specialist. Like, you're not going to find anything against me because I don't do anything that, would elicit any kind of a legal response from any entity in the world. I live my life down here. I don't bother anybody. I stay in my own lane most days. Yeah, see, there's one. Where the other one? Where the other one? Well, I guess if I only have this one to use, I will only be using that one, but damn, I thought I had both of them, because I was pretty sure that I was going to record at the track and just didn't end up getting to. So that's how I all of a sudden remembered. I was like, oh yeah, I had that with me in the track. Where'd it go? Well, you guys know, I have that, like, small pistol grip one that I usually like to use. This tripod's not bad, but the bottom legs are all chewed up and wrecked, basically, so it doesn't work well. Now, the little guy that I'm looking for also doesn't work that well because it's so small, but the way it holds on to the phone, in my opinion, is better. Oh well, at least I've got something to put y'all in. So let's see if we can do this without resetting the damn video, because again, I'm trying to do this in a way where I'm not using that editor program anymore. I don't know if you guys notice it. I definitely notice it, and I'm not entirely sure if it's just because I am the one that uploaded it or what. Alright, let's get you lined up, and then we'll clamp everything down so that we got a nice... Alright, open the tripod portion. Like I was saying, I don't know if it's just me because I'm the one that uploaded the content or what, but when I play back my videos, especially if I have to edit them in any way, I end up seeing the what do you call it? There's like a lag, like the audio is off from what I'm actually doing. Like I'll see me close a hood, and then I'll hear the hood close a second later on the screen, and it's like, well, that's obnoxious. I don't like that, but I can't really. I don't seem Doesn't seem like my phone wants to stay in this. That's going to get annoying really quickly. What in the world? I'm not sure. Oh, I know what it is. It's because the sides of my phone are plastic, and the damn mounting tabs for this particular phone mount are plastic and metal, and so they're sliding across one another. Oh, it's a good time. Yeah, it's a good time. And I can't get the legs to lock in. Man, this is just already turning into a freaking aggravation. I am not in the mood. Oh, all right. Well, whatever. I'm going to cut again, and I'm going to get a little further ahead. I'm going to skip this. And I'm just going to have to figure something out for my cameras. I have GoPros, but the problem is when I try to use them, they won't link to my computer. They won't do shit like they're supposed to. So I can't really, I say computer, but like, it's a Windows 10 crap top that won't, it'll barely function as just a diagnostic thing for me to scan cars. But anyway, I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so I've moved the Gator. I'm over here. I pushed the Ferd a little further back. But basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my hand truck and the engine hoist and a chain, the chain that we were using to hold this to begin with. I'm going to come back over here, get up underneath of the Gator. I'm going to lift the motor up, get it out of the back of the Gator, and then I'm going to drive the Gator over there by that. And then we're going to basically have a more open 360 degree way around the motor. And I think while we have it up, since we're here, I was retarded. And I know some people don't like that word. I apologize if it offends you. But I was dumb, and I forgot. These motors, the Mark IV 2 liters specifically, and possibly the 1.8T even, these are two of the easiest motors to do the timing on, because you line up that there crank via a mark on the flywheel that lines up inside of a hole in the bell housing, specifically right here. You pop this, and then you look down in there, and there's a point. There's like an arrow or a dash or a dink or something. I'll have to clean that with a little brush real quick and, you know, dab it down, try and locate the mark. But essentially, oh, there it is. You see that? That little crown, this right here. See how I'm getting my hand behind it? That is what the timing mark is. So you pull this plug, and the reason they can do this is because the flywheel doesn't really look too much like it, but if you look at the 3 o'clock and like the 5 o'clock position, they're real close together. And what that means is every flywheel made for one of these bottom ends has that specific mating flange. It only goes on that one way, etc. And so when you put your flywheel back on, you line up that simple mark, which is very clearly dinked in on the flywheel, I have to say. Very clearly indicated. Not something that you can really mistake for anything else. And then you simply come over to the camshaft. You look at the valve cover. It says OT. Right there. That little... And you'll look all the way around the cam gear. And there's no timing marks except for that one. So this motor has 2 timing marks, and that's it. On the ABA, the Mark III 4-cylinder that this motor is based off of, there is a 3rd auxiliary camshaft that you have to also time in because it's got a distributor. Well, this car doesn't have a distributor. It has a cam sensor. So it has a coil pack. There's no 3rd. So now you don't have to worry about the distributor moving or shifting a tooth at a time. You don't have to worry about none of that stuff. You just line up the 2 marks, bam, right there on the front of the head, and then wham, bam, in the transmission bell housing, and you're in it like Bennett before you even know. So that's the idea. Because of that, I'm going to go ahead and pull the timing belt off of the block. I'm going to go ahead and pull the water pump off of the block. I'm going to leave the main crank pulley, and I'm going to leave the RTV front main structure. I may try to tape some of it off. I don't know. I don't know how much I care because the timing cover is going to go on this motor. And as long as, all this stuff isn't splotted with paint, it's not going to hurt anything. I mean, it wouldn't hurt anything to begin with, but it's better if you don't. And so that's what we're going to do. Unfortunately, because I don't have a good phone holder at the moment that I can find, and I can't remember what I did with the small one that I normally use, I'm kind of at a point where I'm just going to have to take little shots here and there in between everything and try to get what we can done on camera. And then I'm just going to have to do whatever I've got to do off camera to make that happen. So here's my favorite free UPS, and it's actually UPS. Look at me somewhere. Yeah, down at the bottom. Yeah. So this is actually cool. This was broken when I bought it, and like as you can see, it got patched and then broke again and then broke again. And the thing is, UPS uses these because they're pretty lightweight for how much they can carry. The problem is sometimes things come through UPS that the drivers have to deliver that are not weight friendly. Like, yes, this has, what is it? I'm pretty sure I just broke something, but I don't think it did. I got really lucky and didn't. Oh, that hurt. Okay. So anyway, there's a capacity, 850, 600 pounds, whatever. Damn, that hurt. All right, so up and over, we lean this engine stand back, and then eventually, oh, goodness gracious me. This is such a pain in the butt every time. Okay, so now that I've got it on the engine hoist, now that I have the engine hoist on the dolly, I can really easily just kind of walk it over there and then let it fall down in place over there. Ah, man, that hurt the hell out of my thumb. I ain't got nothing missing off of it, so I think I'm okay. But damn, that was a smush and a half. All right, so the reason I wanted to come over here and do this, number one, overspray. The overspray could potentially be significant enough that it would get all over everything within 50, 60 feet. So the idea is get 200 or 300 feet away from anything important. All right, so here's where it gets to be a pain in the ass, because the wheelbase on the Gator, as you can see, it will take this. It will hold. And theoretically, we are on gravel right now, even though it looks mostly like dirt. You can kind of see a little bit of it there. Okay, so go ahead and get this guy lifted up into position. We're also going to have to go back and get the chain I done forgot about. But you notice I'm probably going to hit the back of the Gator as it is. So, whatever. I might just barely miss it. Might just barely miss it. Might just, by the skin on our teeth. Okay, so let's go get this chain real quick while I'm still fresh in my head about it. So the hope is, if you notice, there's sunlight right there. The sun's going to come up past that big tree behind this small tree here, and it's going to hit that for the better part of the morning and day. So if I can get these components off of the timing belt side and then get it lifted up into the air and exposed to the sunlight, the natural warmth of the sun will help kind of seal and cure the paint a little faster. And it's not that it needs to be done any faster, because he's not coming back over. Will is not coming back over till this weekend, I believe. So we're not in like some insane intense rush, but the more of this I can get done and have done by the time he comes down, the closer we can actually be to getting his car out of here. And Will, buddy, I love you, but I'm ready for your shitbox to be out of the yard. Oh, not because I don't like helping anybody. That's not it at all. Like I've said, I know my buddies come to me because I'm the guy that knows how to do this. I'm like who they know to come to for Volkswagens. So I'm not offended by any means. It's just I get overwhelmed, and I'll be honest, you know, my health has played a big factor in a lot of the decisions I've made, and, you know, things I've been able to do or not do, some being mistakes. All right, so you see how tall that is? We're hopefully going to twist this over in the hook and slack that a little bit. I don't really care too much about most of it. I just need not what's there to be so damn tall, because this isn't, I'm not going to flatten the Gator tires just to move this damn thing. So anyway, the closer I get to having this stuff done, by the time Will comes, the closer we'll be to actually putting the motor back in the car. And that's like the ideal thing, is if I can get this thing assembled and, you know, looking good, looking ready, then we can make some stuff happen and get places with this thing. And he can get that much closer to having his car back, which that's the other thing here, is that Will and his girl have been without this car for a while now. It's been a couple of months. It actually kind of turned into a fiasco because the city decided that they didn't want him to have it chilling in his yard or in front of his house, whatever it was. I forget now. Okay, so we're gonna loop. Right, just like that. And can I get another loop is the question. I don't think I can. Now that's what I can do. All right, so this is going to take both of my hands, so I'm gonna pause. But basically, I'm gonna move this to a different link, so I can just shorten it up that way, because I'm dumb and didn't immediately think of that. Well, I can do it one-handed if I can do it one-handed. Let's go. All right, so we're gonna put this guy up and around and over, and we're gonna flip him around. We're gonna take this, and I'm gonna try to thumb her in there. Yeah. Okay, so now we have a much shorter length of chain, and I'm not covering any of the upper motor with any of this. I actually might pressure wash this thing one more time. I should have thought about that. I'm sure I have enough hose, because I have hose on the back porch that I haven't utilized that I can drag over here, but it's a long run for the fuel for the water pump, so I don't know what we're gonna do there. But let's see if we can just kind of see. I really want this guy. There we go. A little further in. See, the cool thing is the Gator actually has a flat bottom. So other than the fact that I'm jamming the legs of this thing into the sidewalls of the tires here and there, which, I mean, let's be honest, you could weigh this thing down with 1,000 pounds like I have, potentially, because motor's at least 180, maybe 200 pounds. Transmission's like 80 pounds, maybe 85 with fluid in it. I think empty it's like 60, maybe 65. I forget exactly what those are, you know, the intake and everything, a big giant jack. Like, this bad girl is doing stuff, right? So we'll take it. All right, no real concern of me damaging the Gator tires by simply me kicking the bottom of the engine hoist into it. All right, so if I can get this thing high enough, which I'm looking like we might do, like we got some length. What I'm trying to get is to where I can literally just drive off of this guy. That's freaking sick. So, I don't know if anybody knows, but Andrew borrowed this to do the V8 swap on his pick-em-up truck, and sad and unfortunate news, my cylinder gave up on him, and he ended up having to put one on it. But I think he managed to find a better one than what was on it from Rip, because that seems to go a lot higher than I think it should. All right. Oh, I love when a plan comes together. Oh, yeah. Oh, all right, so we're just going to leave that there. I can't run the Gator but so long. The gearbox output shaft decided to start leaking. Yo, I got to fix that at some point. Okay, so let's drop this bad girl down just a little bit. Well, if I wouldn't put the grip of the Kung Fu grip on her so damn bad, it'd be all right. So, I'm just going to leave it about face level for now. Always put your handle back in the machine. Do not walk away with it. Do not go anywhere with it. Do not touch it. Use it for the sole purpose that it's meant for, and put it back. Okay, so you see, we're here hanging out. We've got this chain. Everything looks fine here. And then, of course, the way this bracket works, it's only a singular screw or bolt, whatever you want to call it, but it's got this that indexes. So when you pull this way on that, it actually tries to bend down into it. Now, I've seen this thing flip over backward, but I've only ever seen that happen with like the transmission, all the accessories on it and everything else. Like that was a fully loaded unit. That was a very, 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 very rare case of, events. Okay, so I think looking at a lot of what we got done, there's still some flaky stuff on the head that I'm not the biggest fan of, but there's not much I can do. So we're just not going to worry about it. This is a bare hole series of holes into the block. So we're going to go grab my little silicone kit real fast. So I went and took a walk. We're going to see how many of these we've got that'll fit and work. I'm not too worried about up inside of here. This is just the coolant jacket. What we're worried about is right here. I just don't need a bunch of nonsense going into the motor that ain't got no business being in the motor, This is my buddy's car, and he's trusting me to work on this for him, and I really don't want to let him down. So we're gonna cap as many of these in here, and then, oh, it looks like my thingy's a little sway-like. Okay. So I gotta say, this is a pretty nifty kit for what it is, and it's silicone, so like at the end of the day, these are infinitely reusable until they literally tear to pieces and you just physically cannot seal a hole with them anymore. Because, like, yeah, look at that. So I'm not worried about the threaded holes or anything like that. I probably should be, but my real worry is just getting paint inside of the block where it doesn't need to be. We have a rear main to put on this, so I'm actually just going to spray it the way it is with the rear main on it. I'm not worried about paint getting on the end of the crank, and I'd rather not have paint getting inside of the crankcase through the crank, through the main crank. And then additionally, whoever did this the first time, they couldn't get the bolts lined up right because they weren't using a swivel or a wobble extension, and they cross-threaded them bad girls. And you see the amount of RTV that they use to. This is incorrect. This is incorrect. I get it. It's kind of a product of not knowing what to do, not being taught properly what to do, buying a cheap car that you have no experience with. I get it. You got to start somewhere, but holy shit. That was a lot of RTV, and I can only imagine how much of that is chilling inside of the crankcase right now. And I know it's not like in there fallen in, because clearly that hasn't fallen off out. But there are things inside of the motor that move that may actually affect whether or not that stuff stays in a gasket form or it does whatever else it wants to do. So we're gonna sketchily do this. I'll be back. Okay, so I went ahead, you saw, plugged all them holes, but I also pulled the crank sensor off and decided that it needed to be plugged. Really, I just wanted to look at the reluctor wheel inside and make sure that it was still centered in the hole, and it's mostly centered, so it's good. Basically, I took one of these, stuck them together, and then I took that red one and then blew it out even more, and it sealed up the hole really good. I'm going to go ahead and pop this loose, take the tensioner off. I'm going to take the water pump off. I may or may not pull this plate here off. I don't know yet. I'm pretty sure I'm leaving the cam gear. I don't know. I know he said he bought a cam gear sensor, but I really just don't. I don't know if I want to pull that gear off or not. I know that it's keyed, so there's only one way for it to go on. It's hard to mess it up, but the thing is, I worry about that torque. It is a hell of a beating to try and get one of them bolts off, and I think it's just a basic 19 millimeter. We're gonna have to go with the 3/4. I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to get it with hand tools. Not as currently equipped. I'm going to need a much longer ratchet to give me a bit more leverage to it, and I should probably crack that bolt loose. I see it's 18. Okay, that's acceptable too. I'll take an 18. While the belt is on, there is tension in the motor, and I may kind of be able to just pop it, you know, like hit the ratchet with my hand. Oh no, it's a 17. When did they change that nonsense? That's kind of impressive. Oh, it's a 19 millimeter on the Mark IVs, although that was a 19, that's why. Okay. I thought it looked like an 18. Proof I need to get my glasses back. Yeah, the 18 fits nice and snug. Alright, so let's just see if I can. I could. That's absolutely stellar. Alright, so we're going to put you there. Switch out to this here 13. We're going to do the same thing to this tensioner. Just going to loosen that bad girl up. So here's the thing about these tensioners. I'm going to say it now just in case I don't say it later. You see this, like, freeze plug, and then you see that there. Well, this all has to like line up in there, and then you have to push this to there, and then you tension the belt and it'll do its thing. But now the tension's off the belt, so we should be able to, while being eaten alive by all these damn bugs. All right, there it goes. There we go. Now we're sliding. Yeah, I always hate doing timing belts because they've got the cogs, and they don't like to slide once they get bound up real good. But we're off the water pump. Now we're off the crank. Now we're off the cam. And I'm gonna be honest, this belt didn't really look bad. I can't tell. Like, it's clearly, I believe, an OEM belt. I believe those to be, no, that says made in USA. Who did this then? Oh, no, it is an Audi belt. Okay. Volkswagen Audi. 06A 109 119D. So I think 06A is actually the block style because it's like an 05B or something like that for the early block where it had the third timing component area location thing. Okay, so we should be able to just... All these are 10 mils, so they should be pretty easy to get loose. Most of these, like this here is the water pump. It actually uses an O-ring for a gasket instead of a water pump housing gasket, which that's just the right way to do it. I'm using the power tools because I'm one-handed and I'm trying to show way more like progress on everything that I'm doing. Okay. Wabam, wabam, wabam. Now it's going to be a bit of a pop to get that loose, so we're not going to fight that just yet. Alright, we're gonna set. How did I do that? Did it? No, I guess it didn't. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. We'll loosen this guy here, right there. Oh. Well, I guess we're not going to loosen it enough for me to use my fingies. So this is just a plate, basically, here to shield the transition from behind the cam all the way up so that the cords and stuff, the wires from the cam sensor don't get all weirdly bound up and whatnot. It also, this plate right around here, I believe, maybe it's, yeah, I think it's down here actually. I think one of the little snap flip clips for the timing cover go right there. Because it goes there on the front, goes up top on the other side, and then I think there's one down here, and I think there's one over here. But basically, we're just taking this guy off because I believe, since I've gotten that loose, okay. So there's that guy, and we'll leave those two together. And then it's going to be an Allen. That looks like it's going to be a 5mm. I think I should be able to just reach in there with one of my little ball-ended T-handles. So we got that. Yeah, just like that. Alright, so I brought my little impact gun just in case. I'll set that on the corner edge. I don't think there's going to be much more of a need for it, but now it's in there. Bam. Just pop. Now here's the weird part. I don't know if the bolt... No, it doesn't. Okay, so the bolt definitely does not clear the cam pulley, and that's a shame. So we're gonna... Alright, now remember, this point... Damn, these bugs. Just want to try and remember, Germany, SSF, dot. Volkswagen Audi, dot. I think... should just kind of wiggle its way off. I may have to pry on it just a little bit. Let me put all this down and actually grab it with my hand. Okay. Come on, guy. There we go. There we go. All right, so that's off. All right, it stayed. It stayed. It stayed. It stayed. We're going to leave it. I'm not going to touch it. Wham. There we go. All right, so this is your cam sensor. Okay, that's that. We're going to set that right here on the cam gear so that they stay together. We're going to go ahead and take this guy off. Okay. So this stud will come off, but for now I'm just gonna leave it. I didn't bring anything to take that out, and doesn't really need to be out of the way. Alright, can we just get behind this a little bit? Yes, we can. You see that pops pretty well just right on out. Alright. So now we've got most of the componentry off that I had intentions of removing. Okay. I can work with some of this now. Now the question does become, do I want to take the main crank pulley off? Because no, I really don't. And if I did, I should have done it a long while ago. I should have done it while the timing belt was on. Because what will happen is when I hit this with the impact or anything, or try to hang on to it, I'm going to shatter that. So we're going to leave that. I don't see any seepage around that gear or seal. I don't see any seepage around this one. So I'm just going to kind of leave that and send her. I mean, this thing only had 60,000 miles, and I'll be honest, I've only ever had like 1 or 2 8-valve engines wear out those. The rear main, absolutely, because it's on the transmission side. When you go driving and dumping the clutch and trying to be all fast and the curious and whatnot, you're going to rattle the hell out of that seal, so it happens. But the front side, it's usually not too bad, not much of a problem. So we'll take that. That's not, we're not looking like we're amateurs or nothing. We're totally professionals. We are absolutely professionals. 100%. So I'm gonna leave this thing to stay hanging for most of the day. Like I said, the sun has now come between the gaps, so before long it should clear out. It's meant to be a sunny day. I'm gonna wipe this last little bit of stuff down, but I think it'll be in good enough shape to go ahead and paint on. And then once the paint's all done and cured and everything's all tightened up, we can start putting stuff on it. So that keyway's in there pretty good. Do I want to pull it out? Alright, well, I just need to remember then to mess with that. Make sure it's there when I go to put the cam gear back on. But, I mean, in 40-ish minutes, and it's been like an hour and a half for me, because I've cut a couple of times and gone searching for tools, and yeah, we're stripped down and we're pretty well ready to paint. Just gonna let it warm up a little bit, burn some of the moisture from the overnight sitting off, and I really need to figure out what this plug here size is. That way I can try to find a way to plug that out. I'd like to be able to just put a Mark III in exhaust manifold on it and call it a day. Just get rid of the EGR system entirely, but I don't have one laying around that I can just take off and give to them, and the headers that I have on Disappointment don't have the correct flange to bolt to the stock exhaust anymore. So I don't really have any way to do anything with that. We do need to get that stud out still, and I know that we definitely need to try and fight that shit while we're out of the car, because at the moment I don't know if any of the studs are going to break off, but at least now that the engine's out of the car, if we have to change the exhaust, I suppose we can. Yeah, I guess I'll have to call Will. Decisions. Alright, well, we're all wiped down and about as good as we're going to be. Now we just need to wait for there to be some temperature in the air, and I'll put some paint on some stuff, and we'll end up, finish painting. I think that's going to end up being the title of this video, is just painting Will swap. Just nice and simple, basic, straightforward, no big deal. Matter of fact, go ahead and set that up so that we can get us a thumbnail. Alright, so we have some good parts. Looks like we got some wheel bearing grease to fix that one. I told him to pick up a good pack, and that was pretty good. We're there. Alright, that looks like power steering. That's cute. So yeah, we're just gonna spray some brake clean onto the block real quick. Doesn't look like we have too much going on over here. Parts are parts. We'll get them in, we'll get them on. Alright. We just want to get one last little degrease on it. And this is engine degreaser. Dissolves grease, grime, and dirt. We're not trying to put a lot on it, just a little bit. We'll let that sit there and soak for a few minutes, let it do its thing, and then we'll probably take one of these and we'll just poke a hole in the top of it and rinse it down real good maybe. Or I'll just, you know what, I'll just take one of these and we're gonna scrub a dub. Scrub, 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 scrub a dub. Scrub, 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 scrub a dub. Scrub, 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 scrub a dub. Alright, I'm gonna stop now. And we're officially degreased. Everything's wiped down. Once all this little bit of stuff dries out, we'll be in pretty good shape to start trying to paint this bad girl. Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess you're gonna have to maybe, like, I don't know, stick around for another few minutes, and then maybe you'll see some paint on this thing. Okay, something I wanted to mention real quick. Shake your cans for 2 minutes. Yes, 2 minutes. Takes forever. I know. You're asking yourselves, is he really making us sit through 2 minutes of this? Yes, I am absolutely making you sit through 2 minutes of this because I want you to see that when I screw this up, I lied to you and I was wrong and it looks like crap and it's not a good product and it's not a good finish and it's not this and that. I want you to be able to say that my direction didn't work. You know what I mean? That's just something about it. But we got some pretty good sunlight poking through now, so I know, I'm actually going to go ahead and start throwing a little bit of skimmy coats on this and just lightly start dusting it. And 2 minutes. Goodness. Okay. So, now that you've shaken your can for 2 minutes, struggle like hell to get the cap off. There we go. All right. Put the cap up there. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to just lightly kind of little bit all over the place, kind of trying to be somewhat directional and intentional about what we're doing. But basically you just get a little bit of this everywhere, let it dry on, and you can pretty well just put a solid coat on it after that. But basically what this does is this just kind of gives you a little bitty surface to adhere to. And I know some people are going to freak out about the open hole. Don't. It's fine. It's a big hole and it's an O-ring seal, so there's not a lot that can really go all that wrong with it. It'll be fine, I promise. I'm far more worried about like fish eyeing and stuff peeling up off the block, because you know, it's as you do when you do the stuff outside, there's always a small risk that it's just not gonna go the way you wanted it to or the way you thought it was gonna go, and then everything just looks bad, like really quickly starts looking bad. But yeah, just a loose kind of all over, just start getting some of it on there. Although I'll tell you, the back is already looking pretty covered just because it's in the shade. All right. So you got to be deliberate and like pay attention to where you're spraying so that you don't just waste paint. This stuff's pretty good, but the more you put on, the thicker the coat is, the more heat it'll ultimately hold, and inevitably, just by way of the way it works, it'll peel. So you just want a good coating on everything. You don't want a crazy thick coating, but you see like down in here, you want to make sure that you kind of get up in there a little bit. And like, be mindful of your bolt holes and stuff. A lot of this stuff is going to be reused, so you don't want to go spraying a boatload of paint like down into the threads. A little tiny bit of paint in there is not going to hurt anything, but you don't want globs of anything in the threads. Unless you don't want it to come back apart. Paint, I don't know if you know, but paint can basically work like a glue. If you put something on while the paint is wet, it'll stick to it. And it'll dry and cure with whatever it is stuck into it. And so you'll quickly realize, oh shit, whatever this finish was, I've just ruined it. So we want to make sure we get up into these little nooks and crannies the most. That's where it's the most important, because that's where it's going to end up starting the rust back up. Most of the open places on your engine, you're going to really quickly be able to do a lot of stuff to it to scrub and, you know, spray with a pressure washer and all this, that, and the other. But when you start getting down to behind the brackets and whatnot, that's where stuff just sits and stays. Yeah, we'll be able to take a little bitty bit of something to that. No big deal. It just means I need to get a little tighter on stuff. Now, I'm kind of torn on what, yeah, I'm just gonna hit the outside of it so that it matches. It'll be fine. We're not actually taking this apart, so all that's just stuff that's gonna sit inside of the timing cover. No big deal. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Oops, I didn't mean to put none on the exhaust. I don't care what it is. I don't care how hot the paint claims it can go up to. You put any paint on an exhaust, unless it's at the back of the car, and that's even in a really controlled, you know, like if you have a really low power, low temperature running vehicle. I've seen dozens of header paints over the years. They all come out, they'll say, oh, we're covered in ceramic, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that, the coating will last forever. Man, you go ripping one good time for more than 60 seconds and get your exhaust nice and cherry, boy, I don't care what it is, it comes off. Heat is a hell of a thing. But the outside of an engine block, like this stuff here, is actually 1200 degree Rutland wood stove paint. And you guys have seen me use a different brand of it on the Passat wagon for the intake stuff. So being that the block needed to be resealed, we did the OSFO thing, which is great because that converted all of the surface rust, the firmly attached surface rust, into an oxide layer. I don't actually remember what they called it. It was not an oxide layer, or maybe it was. It went from iron oxide to like iron phosphate. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's an actual coating. Like it's a converted coating that's ready to take a paint. And that's why this is such an important part, because if you don't get a good paint over top of it, like, yeah, it'll hold that finish that it ended up with for a little while. But what's ultimately going to happen, oh, there's a little crack up in there of paint that didn't flake off. That's a shame. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. You see how the wind's blowing it off that way? That is exactly what I wanted to see. That means I'm not putting this paint on anything except this. Yeah, since we're going to replace this rear main, I'm not really too worried about it. And like I said, I'm not terribly worried about a little bit of paint on the crank to seal it in and stop it from rusting a ring around the damn flywheel. Yeah, we're looking pretty damn good. We're looking pretty damn good. Now, I know this isn't my best work. I understand that. But you also have to understand this just kind of needs to be done and needs to get done and over with. Will needs his car back. And I still think this is going to look really good. I know that there's a little bit of overspray across the head, but let's be honest. That's below the intake manifold, right? So once the intake manifold's on here, and then the big-ass plastic engine covers over top of that, which he does have, it is in the car, you're not going to see a little itty-bitty paint line here. You might see some around the side of the head. You won't see any of it over here, because this will all be covered by a timing case. So that's not a thing. And then you don't have to worry about anything under the exhaust manifold, because again, exhaust manifold, right? Like, am I making plenty good sense? And then you'll see from this line up on this thing, because this will be the transmission. These two bolt holes here, that's transmission. Those two there, transmission. So like, you're only going to see about this much of it. So I can literally take a little bitty, wire brush before we go back together, and I can, no problem. We're good. Hey. Just want to make sure. Fuck it, we'll go ahead and hit some on this just so we can say that we tried to get behind it too. Because again, I can't really do that. Oh, look at the finish. It's a shame that there's like different surface patterning from all the years of it just kind of sitting and grotting out. Yeah, grotting. Not grokking, grotting. I do not know nothing. It's not me. I do not know. But I do know, and it's bullshit. Hey. Get that dipstick tube really nice. Yeah. Hey. Okay, so we are... I'd say that's probably good, and we've still got some can left, so we may end up doing some other stuff as we put this thing back together. We'll see what Will wants to do. It's not my car, and while him and I do often have aligning tastes in cars, we're not the same person, so not everything is always on like super same level status. So without taking creative liberties that aren't mine, I'm gonna hang out, and that's basically been painting Will's swap. Like I said, I know for a fact that all of this is going to be covered, but I'll probably hit this like on the upper edge with a wire brush. I might touch this a little bit. Like I said, the intake manifold's going to cover a lot of it, so just the shadow it'll cast alone is going to make it blend right out. Excuse me. I will probably take some brake clean, get him to bring some brake clean this weekend, and we'll hit the pan real good, or he might even decide he wants to go ahead and paint the pan. I don't know. While it's up in the air, it's all kind of a toss-up, but for now, it's just gonna sit here. And I don't mean like it's literally gonna spend its life here for the next days or anything. That's not what I mean. What I mean is we're at the point where I can officially start putting stuff back on the motor. So if we can go ahead and get his clutch and flywheel pulled off of his other motor, I can get that mounted. I can get the transmission on it. I can do all of that before he gets here. So that way this weekend we pull what's left of his motor out of his car, and then we drop the motor and new transmission in, and then potentially maybe get Amanda to follow us all up there in like something of a cool little cruise to take him back home. I don't know. I would really like to think this weekend might end up being the last weekend, especially since it's so early in the day, and I've managed to get pretty good progress on this thing in what I think is a good, feel. Believe it or not, moving this thing, smashing my thumb and all that shit sucks. And it took time. So hopefully my cutting was actually tasteful this time. Hopefully it made a difference on the overall retention of the video. I'm trying really hard to come up with decent ideas for stuff. And I know that this is a moot milestone. It's not really a big entertaining thing, but you got to recognize, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm helping a friend, and we're trugging along, through the bullshit of life and staying, against the odds to make stuff like this happen. So, give us a little bit of credit. I think we deserve it sometimes. I know that, back in your day, it was probably super duper fucking easy, and I'm not talking to every older person that watches my videos when I say that either, because the people that I've met that I'm friends with, buddies with, YouTube, associates, whatever you want to call you. I'm not really talking about y'all. I'm talking about all those guys out there who are still somehow so jaded to the fact that the world's a hard place to be in now, and everybody struggles, and we're doing the best we can with what little we can scrape together. And I honestly think taking a 300,000 mile, pretty good condition car and then dropping a 60,000 mile engine and transmission in it with a clutch that only has 6,000 miles on it. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good thing. Fresh timing, fresh rear main seal. Yeah, it's going to suck if the front main starts to leak, but yeah, it's only 60,000 miles. And I've been the only person I know that's really blown those seals out. A couple of turbo guys on the forums have done it, but for me, I was just revving too high on the economy motor, and it'd vibrate, it would rattle, and I would shatter the lower crank gear. And when that would happen, it would blow the seal out, because now everything's just slightly off balance and nothing's lined up right, and gone. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you didn't like. I am an open book. I like to discuss things with people. I love chatting in comment sections and live streams and stuff. So if you see me around, say hey. But on that spicy bombshell, peace.